Focus on Liberia. This is our Monday night special. In this edition, we're going to be looking at the President's State of the Union, the State of the Nation address that was broadcast today in Monrovia. We're going to also be looking at the counter meet. That's an analysis of what we term as the counter meet fiasco. So keep tuned, invite a friend, and we're going to have a great show for you today. At this time, I'm going to send this back to my man, Sonny Sia, who's my co-host. Sonny, take it away from me.
In cyberspace, we want to say thank you for joining us. You heard it right there. This is an analysis of the President's State of the Nation's address that he delivered today to our nation and to all Liberians across the globe. Again, this is an analysis of the President's State of the Nation's address. To go into this analysis, we have brought in two of our analysts. Mr. Weah is here seated to provide some analysis, as well as Dr. Baton Kula. Dr. Kula is also an analyst here at Focus on Liberia. And we have a guest. The man Victor is here as our guest, and he too will be providing some analysis. I am your politics guy, Anthony Sia, co-hosting with a veteran Dennis Jar, and we got all this package for you. Also, don't forget, is an analysis on what we term a fiasco counter meet. You watched the finals yesterday, and all we get is politics and division, and you have it. So how it all happened? Who went wrong? Who did the wrong things? So we will be going into all of that. That's the package we have on you on this Monday special, and we will get started. Mr. Ja. All right, folks, we will now use the time to bring in our guests. First of all, we have in the house Victor. Victor, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on your platform. Thank you very much.
All right, and Victor's right there, who has joined us today as a guest to help us provide the analysis, not only on the State of the Nation address delivered by the president, but also we will be talking sport, and we think that counter meet was a complete fiasco. In the house, as I said earlier, is Mr. Weah, an analyst here at Focus on Liberia. Mr. Kone, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you very much, Asani. I'm happy to be here once again to contribute to this discussion.
Thank you, and Mr. Kone joined us from Philadelphia, where he resides. And we also have another analyst of Focus on Liberia, Dr. Baton Kula. Dr. Kula, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Sony. I look forward to a very interesting and stated discussion. Look forward to it.
Thank you. All right, folks, in cyberspace, the stage is set. We have introduced our panelists and our guests, and we, your hosts, are humbly seated. And we will start with the State of the Nation's address. Some are already speech, and many of us also listening to the president. The first thing we want to know is that how was the speech rating? Was it excellently rating? Was it rating beautifully? We want to know that, because in crafting a message, your message, you want to make sure it's written beautifully. And we will also look at the eloquence of the speech. Was that an eloquent speech? And from there, we will be looking at the delivery, the performance. As the president delivers the message, did he do a good job? We also want to know. To get this all started, we will invite our guest. Victor, you listen to the president, and I believe you might have read the speech too. First of all, let's look at the speech. Was it written beautifully? Was it an eloquent speech? Give us your impression about the speech, the write-up.
I would say the speech was written beautifully for the president.
Okay.
You know, if you want to work with this president, if you want to be the guy for this president, you have to serve him. You have to do whatever he wants you to do. that means you have to praise him. We all know the president is a soccer star. So all they did for him was to praise him, even from Liberia before going to France and other places. That's all he knows, praises, If you criticize him, then that means you're doing the wrong thing. So the speech was written purposely to please the president. So everything he said there was to please him, not the Liberian people. And he forgot to know that he was elected to serve the Liberian people, not himself. But he's taking football and taking it to the presidency. That's our problem. That's my problem. You don't use that. Football is different from serving people. It's different from serving your people. You're a leader. That means you're a leader to you're serving your people, a country. They elected you to serve them. They elected you to build hospitals. They elected you to give them hope. They elected you to give them jobs that will help them take care of their families and themselves. But what Weah did, Weah is just there to receive his praises and do whatever he wants to do. Once you praise Weah, you can do anything you want to do. He's fine with it. So that's what I've seen everything.
So you agree that the speech was beautifully written?
For Weah.
All right. And then, Victor, before we go to our analysts, to give their impression about whether or not the speech was beautifully written, we want to know who is Victor? Just a brief, statement about yourself. Any political alignment, where you stand politically? Any? Tell us.
My name is Victor Watakori. I do not really associate with any political party. Mm-hmm. I am a Liberian. I am a person that believes in Liberia. Whatever works for Liberia works for me. It don't have to be who's the president or when. You understand? Once it's working for the country, I'm for it. If we can turn the page today and do the right thing for the Liberian people, I will praise him. I am just an advocate here to speak for the Liberian people that don't have a voice to speak for themselves, people that nobody listens to. I'm here to speak for them. I'm not here to represent anybody but the Liberian people.
Thank you. And then we'll bring in Mr. Weah Kone. Mr. Kone, when a speech is well written, it entices the readers to want to read it. What would be your impression given the way the speech was written? Will you say it was eloquent, beautifully written?
Well, I think to judge a speech, one will first of all want to know what is the purpose of the speech. What is the speech trying to accomplish? So if you take those two things into consideration, the purpose of the speech, what was to be accomplished by the speech, if you put those things in context, I think the speech was beautifully written and that the speech met its purpose. Let us be mindful that what the president did today was a constitutional responsibility. And everything the president had to do is lay out in the Constitution to present the state of the nation to the legislature, capturing expenditures of government, capturing revenues of government, and for the president to also present his legislative agenda to the Congress. And if you take all those three things together, they were all achieved. I mean, there are a lot of expenditure report in the speech, a lot of revenue disclosure in the speech, the activities of the government for the last 1 year, efforts that the government have made to secure financing for both the domestic priorities and for external obligations. All of those things are contained in the speech. So to say that the speech was written as a vehicle to praise the president, I think it rather misses the mark. And as we go on, we'll go to the substance of some of the things that were said. I think those who wanted the president to address the nation so that the citizens can have some hope as to the direction of the country. If you look at that speech, there is a roadmap. that has been developed. There is a direction that I, as a Liberian, will be looking forward to as we begin 2020. So in all of this form, the speech did exactly what it was intended to do. I didn't see it as anything that was praising or that was intended to praise anybody for that matter.
Thank you, Mr. Conan. We will bring in Dr. Baton Kula. Dr. Kula, same question. You read a speech, or you might have listened to the speech. Before we talk about the performance, deliveries, and all of that, we want to know whether or not this speech was beautifully and eloquently written.
I would say no. The speech was not beautifully and eloquently written. The speech was very hard to follow. The delivery was poor. The president is still operating and delivering his speeches on the level of, I would say, an average U.S. second grader, maybe a Liberian sixth grader. And initially, when the president first started off, I wrote to Siku Kalasco and others and said, whoever is writing this man's speech, you need to follow his cadence, his natural cadence, the way he reads, and somebody needs to sit with him and prepare his speeches according to his style of delivery. For example, when he first took over, he went to a church. He spoke directly from the heart at that church. And I think that's when he said something to the effect, I will not be judged by my speeches, but by the activities that I do, or something to that effect. But in any case, the way he delivered that statement, it flowed naturally. It sounded good. The audience could follow him. Today, I found it very hard to follow him. And at a certain point, I toned out. And so as we go into discussing the speech, I'll give some how they can follow his cadence and his natural delivery and find somebody that can write to his style so that his audience follows him. But as far as Mr. Coney is concerned, the annual message, we don't have a State of the Nation address. The annual message to the country followed the pattern that it's supposed to follow in delivering what our expenditure and our income was and what the president's legislative agenda is supposed to be. Now, if you say because they followed that format and they delivered everything in that constitution, therefore the speech was good, I would say no. Even though they followed the format and did what they were supposed to do, the delivery was poor and the way the speech was written was poor. We need to find a way to follow the man's natural cadence and find a better speechwriter to write his speeches so that it flows naturally, so that people can follow him, cut out the 2-hour thing and whatnot, so that it's not boring. It doesn't sound, very raw in its delivery and whatnot. That's how I see it.
Thank you, Dr. Kula. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Focus on Liberia. This is our special Monday edition of Focus on Liberia. We are providing an in-depth analysis of the president's speech today, that's the State of the Nation address, and also an analysis of the county meet fiasco. We've also discussed this is our everywhere analyst, Mr. Weah Cooney. We have Dr. Baton Kula, who is also our everywhere analyst. And joining us for the first time, Mr. Victor Batakoli. I'm your host, Dennis Jab, and our co-host is Mr. Asoni Sie. Back to you, Mr. Sie.
Mr. Jab, thank you. And gentlemen, starting...
Can I come in?
No, wait for your time. Mr. Conan, we will get to you.
Oh, okay.
And starting with you, Mr. Conan, we would like you to comment on the delivery and the performance of the president. You heard Dr. Kula there saying the president read his speech as though he were a second grader. I'm sure that's something that is like a piece of cake for you. Would you like to eat it?
Look, listen, for me, that is really petty for me, because this president has been declared by the intelligentsia elite that he's not educated. That's their opinion. That is really their opinion as to whether you read like a second grader, like a first grader. Those things are not relevant. But I'm happy that
It's very relevant.
I'm happy that Dr. Kula agreed that the purpose of the speech was for the president to update the nation on the activities of the government for the 1 year. And in that respect, the speech met those requirements. Now, the delivery of speech oratory power varies from person to person. So if people are expecting the president to speak like Dr. Aaron Boyman Family, he's not Family. He's not Dr. Amos Sawyer. He's not, and he is George Weah. And George Weah has his own unique way of speaking. And so this is what people got to get used to. And no matter how he speaks, those who believe that he's not educated will never give him the recognition. I mean, even like look at some of the criticism that were offered. The man addresses the vice president, Madam Vice President, and President of the Senate. Somebody says, "Oh no, you're wrong. You're calling a woman president." So people already come to these things with their biases. And so for me, that is the petty aspect. But the question we should ask ourselves: did the speech accomplish what it was made out to be? Did it accomplish the constitutional purpose? Did we hear the president presenting the expenditure report of the nation? Did we hear the president presenting the revenue position of the nation? Did we hear the president discussing the domestic activities of the government? Did we hear the president discussing the international activities of the government? Did we hear the president laying out a roadmap for development for the next year? Did we hear the president providing hope to Liberians as to what we should look for as a country? All that stuff about delivery and oratory, everybody is not an orator. And that's the point we've been making. We've been having all these orators for 172 years. We still cannot provide safe drinking water for our people. We still did not provide electricity for our people. We still did not provide roads for our people, despite all the excellent oratory we're talking about. So that is really petty.
Thank you, Mr. Kunin there. Let's bring you in, Victor. You just heard Mr. Kunin saying the president is not Dr. H. Burma Formula, and so you shouldn't expect him to speak like him. And so AC, in your opinion, trying to agree that, the president is who he is, so whatever he says or however way he reads the speech, we should just take it and we shouldn't criticize him. You agree with that? I think that's what he's trying to say.
No. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying individuals are unique and everyone has their unique way of speaking. I'm not saying you shouldn't criticize him. You can criticize him for whatever you feel like. That's,
Okay, can I come in now?
Yeah, Victor, go ahead.
Look, really, guys, I'm not really particular about his speech or his presentation. What I'm concerned about is the deliveries. Has he done what he said he was going to do for the Liberian people? He's talking about people being giving great speeches and nothing have done for the Liberian people. This is why they voted for President Weah in the first place. People saw themselves in President Weah. They say, you know what, this guy grew up from Gibraltar. He grew up with us. He played soccer with bare feet. He fished with us. He went out there with us. He saw Donald with us. So we're going to take this guy and put him there. He understands our pains and suffering. They took this guy, they made him president. What has he done? He's worse than everybody that's been there. This guy building mansions for himself. This guy is lavishing money on private jet. This guy is living all kinds of life, using our girls, our women. You know what I'm saying? Before you get a job now in Liberia, you have to sleep with somebody. You don't have to be qualified, just sleep with somebody. You will have the job. It's a shame. You were put there to do the people's job. They put you there, President Weah, because they saw themselves, they were tired of reference. They were tired of educated people. They said, we don't want educated people. We want this guy, the football player. We want him. He understands our pains. President Weah, what have you done for us? You turn your back. You turn your back. Our sisters are raped today. Our daughters have no future. Our children have no future in Liberia. They have lost hope. You were the only hope, President Weah. You dashed your hope. And you want us to praise you? Oh, we are not people that want to praise people because we want jobs. Because I know people that have kept quiet. This is what brought us here today. In the 80s, in the 70s, people kept quiet because their uncles were ministers. In the 80s and the 70s, people kept quiet and said nothing because their brothers, their sisters were ministers and the money was coming in their pockets. So they won't say anything. But this generation must change if we want this country to work in the interest of everyone.
Thank you.
Not just you.
Thank you, Victor.
We are not doing it. The trust, he has broken the trust. That's the point. I don't care about his speech. I knew this guy when he gave a good speech. I knew that. But the people say he looks like us, he thinks like us. Let's put him there and see what he can do. It's all about delivery. It's not about the speech. But he's not doing none. That's the fact.
Thank you, Victor, right there. And Dr. Kula, let me come to you. You have already answered the question of delivery and performance. So let's talk about the facts in this speech. Let's talk about the meat in the speech. My question is,
before you go to Dr. Kula, I just wanted to ask Mr. Batakoli a question. Mr. Batakoli, are you saying the speech doesn't really matter to you? All you want to know is the impact of his policies and what he's doing? Is that what I'm hearing?
What he said, he should be able to do it. He told the people he was going to be for the poor people. He was going to change their lives. He's not doing it. He's changing he and his criminals' lives. Nothing he's doing. He's working for himself and his big boys. The rest of the people dying every day. There's no protection. You go to Liberia today, no gasoline. You go to Liberia today, our doctors are not safe. You leave your home, you're afraid. You speak against the government, they haunt you. That's not what they wanted in Weah. That's what I'm saying. It's not about his speech. It's about his deliverance.
Thank you, Dad. Victor, let's come to you, Dr. Kula. So this much talk about an expected speech was today delivered. What all we had in the speech is what we want to talk about. We want to look at some factual information that the president was able.
Mr. Sony,
yes,
Mr. Sim, before you go to the factual, I have to rebut what Mr. Coney said.
Go ahead.
When I say the cadence of Weah, Mr. Coney, when I say his natural cadence, that means the natural way that he speaks. Okay, it doesn't mean he should speak like Boma Famula. Weah has his natural cadence, his natural way of speaking. I said the speech writers should use his natural way of speaking to craft his speeches around that. And I also said the speech that he made from his heart naturally at that church, they should have used that as a basis for writing his speeches. So I didn't say he should speak like Boma Famula or Amos Sawyer. Let's listen to what people say, okay? So Weah can walk and chew gum at the same time. He can deliver, and he can also, as a president, because presidential work, most of it is public speaking, he can also work with his people to craft his speeches to the way that he speaks, to his natural cadence. For example, Trump had a way of speaking. If you watch Trump now, the speech writers have crafted his speech to his style of speaking, his way of speaking. So right now, when you listen to Trump, it flows naturally. First, it used to sound strange to people, but it flows naturally now. That's what I'm saying. The speech writers and those of you that are listening that work with Weah, you don't listen to people like Coney them. They want this man to continue to make a fool out of himself and use that and say, educated people are doing this, educated people are doing that. Use the man's natural cadence and write his speech so that when he's reading it, people can follow him. That's what I'm saying. Now let's go on to the facts.
No, but let me rebut you there now because you make a direct.
No, don't rebut me.
No.
Let's go to the facts. When they come around to you, then you can rebut.
No, I gotta rebut it.
Mr. Conan, it was his time to speak. He spoke, and when your time comes, you can use your allotted time to rebut to what you want to rebut. Because we have two major issues here. We can't be spending all the time on one. So let us go to the facts in the speech. What all did the president have to say to us today that are factual in your opinion? And we will start with you, Mr. Conan. If you want to rebut now, you can take a few seconds of your time to do so. Go ahead.
But okay, I'm slowly going to the facts.
No, I just wanted for Dr. Kula to not assume all the time that people don't understand what he's saying. I understand what you mean by natural cadence. My position is that a good number of the intelligentsia elite has already concluded that the president is a dummy. No matter what the president says, no matter how it is done, there will be criticism. That's my point. I'm not talking. I'm
Well,
not
your point
saying
is
that.
not taken because if they use
Okay, but that's your opinion. But that's my point.
Mr.
You can go by.
Dr. Kula, let's stop the interruption. Let's stop the interruption.
Yeah.
Because there are people
I'm
listening
telling
to
you.
us.
I'm telling you, the president can go by your so-called natural cadence. The president will still get criticized by people who hold this view that this president is not educated. That's the point I'm making to you. Okay, back to
Sonny, can I come in?
No, hold on, Victor. Hold on. Go ahead, Mr. Quinn.
Back to the substance of the speech. Like if anybody that go through the speech, my brother here, I don't know. Look, we have to be really honest with ourselves here. There are challenges in our country. There are difficulties in our country, like they've always been. George Weah did not promise heaven for Liberia. He did not go to anybody and say, look, make me president and I will turn Liberia to heaven. He did promise to do his best for the country, to solve the problems in the country within the possibility of his best. So for people to continue to project here that, under a George Weah leadership, George Weah have promised them to take them to heaven, and now they are in hell. I mean, those are absurd statements. But let's look at his speech. If you read his speech, the president laid out a roadmap for some of the things that are crucial to him. For example, road connectivity. As I go through this speech, I read information on roads that are moving. Either they are in progress or there are plans to build roads from Sino to Grand Cru to Maryland to River G to Zwedru. If you go in the northern down to Nimba, Yekepa, Ganta, Sanikwele, Tapeta, Salaye, Banga, Vanjima, Konya, Monekomna. There is a whole lot of things that are in his speech. You understand? Now, for anybody to say that because George Weah is like us, so all of these things need to be accomplished in 2 years, is the most unrealistic expectation you can have about anybody. This is a new government. They had to find their footing. They had to locate sources for funding. And now they have communicated to the Liberian people their agenda. Look at the speech. Look at the portion on agriculture, the international assistance and other policies that will spawn the agricultural sector into action to help the economy. These are all things that we've been told will take effect either this year or within the few years coming. So for anybody to come here because after 2 years Liberia is now sweeting and so George Weah has failed is the most biased assessment that you can make.
Mr. Kunin, before we get to Dr. Kula, hold on, Mr. Kunin. Let me throw a question at you here. The thing is that there is something called foundation. Is the foundation being laid, in your opinion, on all of the things that you consider are in place or some of them are about to start? Do we have the foundation in terms of management?
The foundation has been laid for road connectivity in the country. Like I say, I'm submitting to you all of these road networks that have been identified, some that are ongoing, some that are going to begin. And one of the principal priority of this government, and one of the reasons why I support this government is road connectivity. There are many people here who believe that everything is all right in our country once we live in Monrovia. Without road connectivity, Monrovia will continue to be overly populated. I read also in the speech on the step the government is taking to bring integrity to the central bank system. I read all of these things in the speech. So to say that, this man has not laid out any vision, it's just bias, in my opinion.
All right, Mr. Kunin, let me fit that for now. We will come back to you. We stay on the substance of the speech. Victor, Let me hold you there a little bit. Dr. Kula should have been the one first, and I made a mistake there. So let me correct myself. I beg you. Dr. Kula, the substance of the speech, you just listened to your fellow analyst, Mr. Kunin, saying that maybe everything on course. I'm sure you disagree.
Well, I disagree, but I don't disagree because he says everything on course. I disagree because Mr. Coney is saying somebody here says the speech had no vision. I didn't hear anybody here say the speech had no vision. I heard Victor say that the president has not provided any deliverables. Okay, so for him, because of that, for him, the speech is empty. The speech for me was full of bloviating like we always do in Liberia. We write a lot of speeches. We write a lot of speeches that really mean nothing, right? A lot of what he said in the speech about road connectivity, apart from the community roads and the highway, the coastal highway, those are the only two things that are his project. And then people say, oh, but government is continuity. Yeah, government is continuity, but a lot of the money that's been sourced and the ground broken for a lot of those roads, Konya to Vonjima, this, that, all of that. Those are stuff that Ellen did, okay? And I'm glad that he's hopped on it and he's building on it. Great and fine. I'm glad that he also talked about the vision for the central bank and now having the central bank no longer part of the economic management team and that the board will now control the central bank. But the fact still remains that you have a political appointee at the central bank that more or less was appointed because he's from the Southeast or because he's from Grandview, not because he's competent. You know, the guy has a public administration degree and never really worked as a central bank governor in any place, form, or shape. Never really worked in banking except for as a how you call it? Compliance guy. You know, and those. There's a gentleman that needs to come forth, a guy by the name of Lawrence Kennedy that works in the banking sector in America. He and J. Neeson Williams run the Global Africa Radio. Lawrence Kennedy needs to come and explain to the Liberian people what a compliance officer does in America. And after he explains that, Liberian people will understand that they do not have a governor for times such as these where our country is struggling. So when you talk about the substance of the speech, yes, he gave a vision. He talked about building roads. He talked about what the central bank would do. He talked about his legislative agenda and so on and so forth. Now let's see if we can put that into perspective and put that into force, meaning you talk about our people not being spectators in the economy when you came 2 years ago. Our people are still spectators, and some people say they're outside the stadium. They're not even spectators. Our people are still spectators in the economy. So when will that be real? Okay, he talked about doing stuff for our people and making them priority, but you didn't make our people priority. You made yourself priority. You built that big old complex. You dedicated your church. You dedicated your amphitheater. You dedicated or you gave your office building, one of your office buildings, to the Female Journalists Association and whatnot. So it's all been about you. When will the people be prioritized? 2 years later, that military hospital still hasn't been dedicated yet. And apparently it's going to be dedicated in July. So I think what Victor is saying and what most people are saying is make these promises real to the Liberian people. Don't just come 2 years later, you're making the same promises that you made before, and we don't see it in the effect. That's what Victor is saying. Nobody's saying that he doesn't have a vision as far as this paper is concerned. That nobody is saying that because he's George Weah, so no matter what he does, the intelligentsia will not be happy. Look, George Weah, don't listen to that. You see Samuel Doe? Samuel Doe came in speaking like worse than a 1-year-old in this country or 2-year-old in this country. And Samuel Doe, in less than 2 or 3 years, Samuel Doe was a good orator speaking well. He was using his own cadence, but he improved because what? He spent the time and he invested in himself to learn how to deliver a speech because he knows as president, that's part of your duty, public speaking. So there's nothing wrong. Don't take it bad. Don't let people put in your head that no matter what you do, the intelligence will not be satisfied. People that do that, they don't want you to improve. They don't want you to develop. They want you to stay the same. Do not accept that as your portion. That's my speech to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Talking about the substance of the speech, Victor, whatever you had in mind to say, let me throw this iPod there for you. You just listen to Dr. Kula that the central bank governor is not qualified. This is the guy that only works in compliance. That the only reason he's there right now is because he came from the southeast. That's an apple for you, and then respond to the issue of substance in the speech. Go ahead, Victor.
Look, as Mr. Sonny, I'm not ready here to really speak because I'm against Weah or to speak because I'm against certain people in government. I'm here to speak facts. I spoke against Ellen Johnson. We all knew that Ellen here, all the smart people, and she let us down. She let Liberian people down. Money came into the country during Ellen's time. Nothing she did. So the people gave up on educated people. They asked President Weah, look, we need you. We need you to come and save us. You understand what I'm saying? And what did he do? The first year, 16 billion gone missing. 25 million gone missing. What did he tell us? He said they used 25 million for map-up exercise. What happened? They don't have one proof. Who did you give the money to? Name one person that you give that money to. So we can forgive you. Name one person. President Weah cannot tell us. Fire Samuel Weah? No. Because Samuel Weah is an accomplice to the crime. Samuel Weah is the one that committed the crime for President Weah. He takes the money, give it to President Weah, and President Weah enrich himself. That's the problem. I don't have a problem with Weah because he's from the southeast or he's a football player. I have a problem with President Weah because President Weah lied to the Liberian people. He said for me there, and I will show you. I will do things that the poor people cannot do for you. That's our problem. And even the guy from the central bank. Let me tell you something. I know people in this country we live in that do not have the ingenuity, the mindset of a job, and they put them there and they learn on the job and they did the right thing. Like the Kuda will tell, we agree on that. They did the right thing. They did it because they love the country. They did it because they want to prove to the people that, look, I can do better if you trust me. But we have put people there that he feels that he can control. Anything he tells them, they do it. Like Samuel Weah is his bad ball. Whatever he tells Samuel Weah does it. That's our problem. Liberia is not for Weah. Liberia is for Liberian people. If you say you love the country, look, I gave on Ellen Johnson. People are talking about we don't talk against Ellen Johnson. At that time, we did not have Facebook Live, but we're still speaking out. We know Ellen said the Liberian people. We know that. But we brought you there to deliver us. We brought you there to prove to those people, those naysayers that say, look, this football player cannot do nothing. This guy is useless. This guy is a moron. This guy is an idiot. They call you those names. But you are proving to the Liberian people that, yes, what they were saying is true. That's my problem. It's not about Southeast guy. I just want you to put the right people, the people that put the country first. Let me tell you, before I leave you, things happen every time to get us closer, to make us have a different mindset. Look at what happened to Kobe Bryant. Who knew Kobe Bryant would be there today? He died. President Weah, you have had everything. You played football to the climax. You became war bear. People look up to you. This is the best thing you could have done to save your people, to save a country that is drowning, a country that everybody knew in the world. That country was the country that the people came to.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Victor. We'll come back to you. We have a lot to cover. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are providing analysis on the President's State of the Nation address. And later on, we will be talking about the Fiasco County meet. We will be providing analysis on there also, and all the politics about it. My name is Anthony Sie, co-hosting with Mr. Dennis Jack. Gentlemen, starting with you, Mr. Koenig, let's talk about two things here. Let's talk about the dishonesty, and let's also talk about the lies. I will give you some of those. On the issue of dishonesty in the speech, when the president was talking about the inflation rate, when the president was talking about the inflation rate, he did not give the exact number. I think, in my opinion, that it was completely dishonest. Our current inflationary rate is around 30%. But in the speech, the writer said above 20%. What stopped them from calling the actual number, which is 30%? And they said that on other issues. I think that was dishonest. That's something I noticed right there. Then on the issue of lies, the president said during his time in office or during the year that just ended, there was never a single bullet fired, neither was anybody killed. And I think that was a blatant lie. I said that because there was the Kingville's protest at some point in Kingsville.
Shot in the head.
At some point in Kingsville, when the residents of Kingsville woke up on the 24th of June, 2019, they found 2 young children dead. In their frustration, they decided to protest and block the road so that to call national government attention. When the police intervened, they fired live bullets, and I believe a 16-year-old child was killed. That story is yet another story. So for the president to have said that not a single bullet has been fired, somebody killed, I think that was a lie. Again, another one, the EPS fire a bullet, and then the victim became the deputy minister of defense. So for the president to have said that, I think that was a lie. That's what I caught there. So I will give you the opportunity, Mr. Cooney. What are some dishonesty and lies that you noticed in the president's speech? And you think you can also disagree with you, Mr. Cooney.
Yeah, but before I go to that, I just want to comment a little bit on my brother Victor's passion and his desire to see a better Liberia. I just wanted to let you know that we all want to see a better Liberia. Nobody here is fanatically in support of a government for the sake of fanaticism. We all want to see a developed Liberia. We want to see a better Liberia even if not for us, but for our children. Except that sometimes the way Victor talks, it seems like he's preaching the obituary of this administration. This administration is just 2 years old. Sometimes his presentation is like the Weah administration has already ended. And I strongly disagree with that. Like I said, looking at his speech and seeing some of the programs and the plans that are laid out, I want to believe that in the next 2-3 years, the Liberian people will begin to see some actual additional deliverables by this government. With regard to the issue of dishonesty and lies, I would be very careful to use those kind of words. We know in this area of presentation, there are some rhetorical flourishes that people undergo, people engage in. I want to believe when the president was speaking about a bullet not being fired, I want to believe he was talking about political protest. I don't think the president literally meant that saying he became president of Liberia, a single bullet has not been fired from any gun. There are a lot of bullets that have been fired from guns in Liberia, but all for different reasons. So I think his comment could have meant that because if you read a line, he was trying to tote the rights of citizens to protest, political protests, and other things like that. I want to believe that what he meant, but that doesn't mean that not a single gun, to interpret it to say that not a single gun has been fired in Liberia. I don't think that was the intent of the president's point. And with regard to the inflation thing, again, that's a little harsh.
Mr. Cooney, before you go to the inflation, you want to comment on the statement by the president that not a single person has been killed?
But this is what I'm saying. Now what I'm saying. I said that what the president could be talking about was people being killed for political reasons, from political protest.
That was a political protest. When the people
no, it was not a political protest.
Yes, it was.
No, a crime.
That was their right to protest.
So what happened to Jacinta Taylor?
Gentlemen, let us protect Mr. Cooney in land. Let us not interrupt him.
The president was toting political dissension with his administration. I don't think the president was saying that since he became president of Liberia, no one has died. that would be an absolute extension of the president's
trying
power.
to spin it. Doesn't even look good.
It's not a spin.
You
You want to spin it that way. The president was trying to tote his administration commitment to democracy, his administration commitment to the constitutional rights of free protest and assembly. I don't think by any stretch of imagination the president was saying that since I became president of Liberia, no one has died yet. No one has been raped. No bullet has been fired. That is an absolute, it really don't make sense to interpret the president's statement that way.
Mr. Kune, how do you know all this? How do you interpret the intention of the president?
Because we all have common sense, we are following the sequence of the speech. In what context was he speaking?
Mr. Kune, I totally disagree with you. When the president said that not a single person has been killed, he meant that no one has been killed throughout his time, or maybe throughout the year 2019. And that's why he was talking about. And I just gave you.
Okay, but let me disagree. Let me disagree with you. In the same speech, the president called the names of several persons that died. So it was not conceivable for the president to say that since I became president, no one has died.
Well, that is a false analogy. I won't go with that, Mr. Kune. Let's leave it right there. Let's come to you, Victor. Your reaction. We talk about lies and honesty as we saw in the speech. I pointed a few out. Which one did you notice? And if not, if you don't see anything, you want to comment on those ones I talk about?
Yeah, the ones you talk about were all true, you know, and also the 200, I think you talk about 285 million debt. I mean, Ellen left. That was just a lie. Ellen left enough money for his government. But Weah is all in the blame game. And if you say you want to do the job, do the job. That's what they put you there for. Do the job. Be upfront. When Weah got there, the first thing that happened, 16 billion got missing, 25 million got missing. You did not tell us the country was broke. But we started saying money getting missing. And now, when things are going bad, you want to lie, you want to put the blame on Ellen's government. Ellen government, which was there. This is why we rejected the educated people. We said, no, you guys are educated, you guys are failed us. You say you can do the job, come and do the job. And then the road. We all know about the roads in Liberia. Who started all the projects? Was Ellen. Even the Somalia draft. Who started it? It started when I was in Liberia. I visited Liberia, Ellen almost completed it. And we takes credit for all those things. Look, what's about the Bali Island you talk about? You are trying to make the Bali Island to be another city. What happened to the Bali Island? And we don't hear about that anymore. What about the 14 military hospitals you talk about? We don't see it anymore. At least if you have done those things before putting your 49-story buildings up, we have said this may mean business. But no, Weah thinks he owns Liberia. I will take care of myself first, and then later the Liberian people. And we are not here for trying. You want to do the job? We give you the job. You do the job. This is a country. This is not a football team. This is not Lone Star. So we are lie about the roads. We are lie about, everything about projects in Liberia. The only two projects we are talking about was the Bali Island and the 14 military hospital. And they are then nowhere to be seen.
What's about the coastal highway, Victor? The president tried to secure funding. You heard about Eton and Ibova and all that. That was another project. Anything on that?
We all know that. What happens to the Eton and the Iboma project? What happens to it? They're all fake because we don't have the right people to do the job. So any fake thing, we will take it. And trust me, we wanted that money for himself and his people. He did not want it for Liberia. So, look, guys, one of them said that, look, even if we can take money from the devil.
Victor, are you saying that the president? No, I will hold you there, Victor. You said something yet, and I need to hold you accountable. Are you trying to suggest that the funding, the deal about Eton and Iboma, President Weah were making those efforts so as to take the money for himself? Is that why you want us to believe?
Yes, I will believe that. Listen, let me answer here. I will believe that according to Mamba Manu. He told us in the recording that President Weah goes out there and get money in the name of the country and come and put it in his own account. So I would believe that Weah wanted the money for himself.
All right, conclude, then we'll go to Dr. Kula. Dr. Kula?
No, yes, I'm here.
We're talking about dishonesty, and we're also talking about lies in the speech. You read a speech. Tell us. I gave you some iPod, and you guys are chewing it. Give me some too.
Well, I want to deal with the ones that you raised first. Okay. Then I will give you one.
Okay.
The one that you raised, where Mr. Cooney is trying to spin it and make us look as if he the only smart man, everybody else in Liberia is stupid. The fact of the matter is this: nobody is saying that in review that no gun was shot or nobody got killed, and then Weah came and outlined to us that certain people got killed. What we are saying is to say that no gun was shot coming from the government in a political scene. It doesn't have to be specific to COP marching and having a peaceful protest and the government don't shoot, but your people gathering in the street and protesting against the government, and a overzealous police officer shoots into the crowd with loud ammunition and kills a citizen. That's something that the president should have spoken to. But to come and ignore it and act like it didn't happen is what you're raising here. And the problem with this government, and I always make it my duty to read Sylvester Moses' post on Front Page Africa. He's one of those that are trying to mislead this government. Most of these guys that were in the NSA, they're trying to mislead this government by telling them, oh, do this. The educated people will say negative things about you regardless. The fact of the matter is, this government feels that they can use spin, propaganda, and lies to run the country. You cannot run the country through spin, propaganda, and lies, okay? Plausible deniability is only plausible when in a situation that is done like how our coup was done in 1980. Liberian Post itself still denying that it could be anybody else but the PRC. That's plausible deniability, okay? Unless they told us they went in and took out Osama bin Laden, we would not believe that Americans could have gone in and done what they did. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. The fact of the matter here is this: the government is lying on certain issues, and we have to point that out. And lies are the words that you use. You don't quote it any kind of way. So what you pointed out, I agree with. And then the other thing I think I was going to raise is where he talked about fighting corruption and people going to jail. There's no sacred cow. Well, according to your cousin that was put in jail because he tried to expose corruption, there are sacred cows. The very people that he was trying to expose was somehow let out. You know, the whole thing that happened with the civil mining thing, certain people got off because what? They in political marriages. So to say no sacred cow, I beg you, let's stop ignoring the thing that right there in front of us, the 25 million thing, and then going after people with this Serena Cephas guy going after people and trying to extort money from them. Let's be real. That's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. My name is Anson Nsia, co-hosting here with Mr. Dennis Jah, and we are giving an in-depth analysis of the President's State of the Nation's address. Later on in our broadcast, we will be looking at what we term as a fiasco counted meme. Mr. Cooney, we will give you the opportunity for a rebuttal, but I have this for you. Another thing the President said, as I remember, is that he said there was no somebody arrested and put into prison. I'm sure you remember that. And I think that is not true. People were arrested during the protest. And someone told me that in law, an attempt is to do. Another arrest that the government tried to make was to arrest Henry Acosta to put him into jail. They attempted to do that. That's why the law people told me I know nothing about law. But again, the point I was making is that another lie that the president told in his speech is that there was no arrest made at all. But we know of students who got arrested because they were protesting and they were thrown behind bars. And Dr. Kula also talked about President Weah's cousin, who was put into prison and held in the prison for time that he should not have been held for. What you say to that? I think that was a lie.
Look, listen. If the intent of the whole exercise is to find ills of what we have done and what we are failed to do,
exercise of
to find lies and other things like that, I think it little bit defeat the purpose of this.
Doesn't defeat purpose.
And what I continue to maintain is that there is a difference between politically motivated crime and criminal activity. There is a big difference. And I maintain that the president was speaking within that context. That since he became president, no one has been killed because of their political view. It's different from people respond as spontaneous, a response to a criminal activity that goes on in their community in which a wayward police officer may have discharged his weapon. I can make that distinction. For others who don't want to make that distinction,
you can't make the distinction because the government
is your problem. It's your problem. There are illegal discharge of firearms all over in every society. Even here, law enforcement officers kill people in the discharge of.
But they are here accountable.
But it's not the point. I'm telling you the context in which the president was speaking.
Context.
You are trying to raise the issue of every criminality in the country. And
no, he's not. He's raising the fact.
You are raising the issue of every criminality in Liberia. And I'm telling you, the president was speaking within the context of targeting a political opponent. That is the context in which that would be the only reason he would mention that in his speech. You can hold that view, and that's my view. Now, with regard to what was it? What was the other point again?
Man,
with regard to
I was talking about lies and dishonesty, and you wanted to talk about the inflationary
well, old man, listen.
Rate that the president gave, he said above 20%.
Let me tell you something. I'm very free to tell anybody here on Facebook I'm 58. If anybody asks me, Mr. Kune, what is your age? If I say I'm over 50, if you call that a lie, again, it would be your interpretation. The fact of the matter is I'm over 50. The fact that I didn't say I'm 58 does not make me a liar. I'm over 50.
On that one, I describe it as dishonest.
Why is the brother? Am I now over 58? 58 is above 50. I'm over 50.
Mr. Kune, we are talking about government, and we're running figures. We need transparency. What you say to that?
Sometimes you estimate those. Sometimes those are macroeconomic variables you play with, and sometimes they are not exact. So sometimes you give a range. So if somebody gives a range, it doesn't mean the person is dishonest. And I appreciate. Look, one thing I know about this George Weah presidency, I see all this harsh criticism that is coming. I hope it is the beginning of the new thinking by Liberians to be very harsh on the government. Because everybody sat down here for 12 years when nobody picked up any issue. The executive mansion for the past 12 years was used to sample $10 million from our people. Nobody asked questions.
Pan-African Plaza. It's not true.
That's not Pan-African Plaza. $34 million was paid to questionable characters in the government. Nobody asked questions.
What can we order them?
I don't have a problem with all of this, but I'm thinking that this should be the beginning of the new advocacy, the new militancy on our people to demand for their government to perform. People talking about the past 12 years as if to say Ellen was an interim president. You were president for 12 years. And then when the next administration is doing something, Ellen started as if to say she was chased out of power. She wasn't chased out of power. She ended a 2-year term. And if those same projects were not being done, if those same development were not being done, you will be blaming President Weah today. So get the courage to give the government the recognition that they are doing these things. There is nothing like Ellen project. Ellen doesn't have projects. Those are projects for the Liberian people. But it is all said to diminish the contribution that this young man is making to the country. The Ellen Project talk is all geared towards diminishing his contribution. But he's not frustrated about that. Before I go, there are other things that are in his speech that are very substantial. For a very long time, the issue of dual citizenship was giving lip service for 12 years. Right now, it is front and center. Salary harmonization. People were being paid disparate salary in different ways. Salaries are harmonized. The reduction in the terms of elected officials. These were all hard-button political issues that nobody could not touch. These are the things that give us hope for Liberia. These are the things that give us the courage, the hope that at the end of this administration, we will end up with something better from where we started.
Now, to point out lies and dishonesty in a president's speech, that's pretty normal. I don't think you will see it as nitpicking. And then to Mr. Kwatakoli and Dr. Kula, what were you looking for in that speech? And what did you expect to see in that speech that will really satisfy you, or that will make you feel, yes, the president has said something good?
Yeah, I'll come in, Dr. Kula.
Yeah.
I was expecting President Weah to talk about firing Samuel Weah, and also trying to audit Eddie Johnson, her government, as he has said that Eddie government was corrupt. If you think the government was corrupt, why can you audit it? He refused to do that. He cannot fire Samuel Weah for the concerned area. The 16 billion, there's no investigation on that. He did not talk about those things. He will not talk about roads. We know there are roads. Eddie then building roads from the outset. So we know that they continue. But tell us about what we put you there for. Look, the people of Liberia elected President Weah to audit President Eddie Joseph Stalin. We knew that. So we elected him to audit Eddie. He refused. In fact, when he came, he started doing work to Eddie. 16 billion ago, 25 million ago. He did not talk about the 16 billion and the 25 million. Where are we going? He did not talk about rape. Nothing. Our sisters are getting raped every day in Liberia. Nothing happening. He did not talk about going after people that speak against the government. He did not talk about that. He did not discourage them. You say anything against the government, they go after you. We all know that. Justina Taylor is an example. He did not talk about these things. All he talked about was projects that was already ongoing. We elected you, President Weah, to audit President Stalin. One. And also, the protest was about what? The 16 billion, the 25 million, and also you firing Samuel 12. He did not talk about these things. Why should we sit there and praise you? Why should we say the man is doing his job? He's not doing his job. He's even worse than the past government. Dr. Kula, you can go ahead.
The question to us was, what would we have been satisfied with in the speech? Is that the question? What was I looking for? I was looking for a sober reflection of the year in retrospect, okay? Looking back in retrospect at the nation, discussing, okay, he discussed the incomes and the expenditures, right? And then he discussed his legislative agenda, but he should have also reflected on what occurred politically, economically, socially in the year in retrospect. Victor has named some of those. He should have looked at the fact that rape is still a problem in our society. Our sisters are being raped. Kids are being killed for whatever reason. We had some homicides that are still unsolved. And I find it very interesting that, you know, this German man gets killed and he says he will go to the ends of the world to make sure the person is found. Okay. And Mr. Coney was saying that's a political calculus. He has to say that because it's a German man and people are working with him and these people give money and blah, blah. But the same way how you put effort into discussing this German man, you should put that same effort in your citizens, because you're there because of your citizens. Even though children could not vote you in, their parents voted you in. So talk for them, speak for them. So, you know, those are the things that I really wanted him to look at, to soberly reflect on what had happened. And then to act as if to say the COP didn't have 2 peaceful protests over the years. No matter how you look at Henry Costa, no matter if you don't want to elevate him to a certain level or whatever the case may be, you know, be honest with yourselves and your citizens. We had 2 major protests over the years. Our police officers were very restrained and respectful of the citizens' rights to protest, and they went off without a hitch. The second one, for whatever reason, was ended by water cannons because of the coal pots and all of that. You know, reflect on it. Then talk about the fact that
I don't think
my man, let me speak. When you come, you can talk your NSA talk. Let me finish. Then talk about the fact that your citizens were peacefully protesting because of something that happened. Okay? It was a spontaneous assembly, and as Connie knows, a lot of them get afraid, certain people in the security, when there's a spontaneous assembly and they want to disrupt it really quick. So they either fire tear gas, or in this case, they fire live ammunition, and they killed their citizens. Speak on those things. That's what I want them to do. Be sober when you talk about corruption. Speak on the fact that the $25 million report showed that monies were diverted. They were not given. What happened to the report that you said you were going to make available? Speak on those issues. Don't just speak on those things that are glorifying.
Thank you.
If you say, let me finish real quick. I have to make this one point. If you say that government is continuity, and we need to praise this man for the things that he's doing, about continue to do what Ellen started, okay, fine. All right. If you want to accept Ellen's project as yours, then accept the economy as yours and tell us what you're going to do about the bad economy. That's all I have.
Thank you. And Dennis, before you come in, let me conclude on this segment. And
no, I have one. Yeah, let me get to Mr. Cooney. Mr. Cooney, I know you have praised the speech, but if you were writing it, is there anything that you have added to make it juicier?
Well, to be honest with you, I read his speech like 3-4 times, and like I said, I evaluated the speech based on the purpose of the speech, and I think the speech, as I indicated earlier, the speech accomplished its purpose. Again, I just want to point out that all of these things that other people feel that should be in the speech, well, they could pretty well be in the speech, but hey, there are a lot of things.
If you are writing the speech, what else will you put there? Or is it perfect?
If I were writing a speech, one of the things I would have really loved to see more elaboration on is the agricultural piece, because in addition to the road network, agriculture is one of the things that will add value to the economy. Right now, our economy is shrinking. The revenue base of the country is shrinking. We have to find a way to expand government revenue so that we can be able to meet all of these obligations of government. The previous speaker said they left a lot of money with the past government left a lot of money. Well, all those things are debatable. What is true? What is fact is that in the last 12 years, yes, our debt were forgiven. We had debt waiver. The purpose of that debt waiver, the calculation was that we will use the interest from the debt to be able to do other social services program, infrastructure program. Unfortunately, at the end of the 12 years, the country ended up with another close to $800 million in debt, close to $1 billion in debt. Now, the interest on that debt, has accrued most of the loans. And this is why I'm saying, look, all of these inquiries we're making, I hope it is a new attitude we're carrying to the future. Most of those loans that were acquired in the previous administration, they've all now come due. The interest payment on the loans were $65 million, with the loan all coming offline to be paid. Just the servicing of debt going to be up to about $90 million. We say these things not to blame the previous administration, but there are other people who feel that you should not even define the baseline. Where were you? Where were you before you making the progress that you're making? We have to know where the country was. But to say that we should not even mention where the country was, we should just go as if to say we have this infinite supply of resources. There was a place the country was. You see all of the policies and procedures that are being put into place to liquidify the banks. We have to know the reason why the banks are facing financial problems. We say that to know the reason, not to blame previous government. If you read a speech, the government of Liberia owed the National Bank $487 million. Of that amount, only $38 million is attributed to the current government. There's almost $450 million of arrears that this government, all these obligations have to be satisfied. You look, even obligations to public corporations, LEC, it was about $9 million. The government, the continuity is not just continuing with rules, the continuity is continuing with other obligations that were passed on to the government. But when it comes to the rules, they want to diminish. But all these other things that the government is doing is other government.
Nobody's diminishing.
All right, Mr. Kone, let's leave it right there. We have to go to the other segment. Mr. Kone, let's leave it right there. We have to go to the other segment. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. We are now concluding on the segment of the President's State of the Nation address. Mr. Kone, some of the things you listed there, I want to agree with you. There are very, very important things that in the speech that the President talked about. We need to be fair and we need to acknowledge that. But in my opinion, the speech was not realistic. The speech did not speak to the economic agony and the fears that our people are experiencing on a daily basis. For example, the issue of prices. Did the president mention anything about prices? Right now, there's shortage of gasoline in the country. I didn't hear the president say a thing about that. Why would the president not speak to the reality of the day? The exchange will remain high. The president will have said something about it. Let's talk about the issue of safety. People don't feel safe in Liberia anymore. Yeah, I focus on Liberia. We had a family here that was ambushed. All right, the mother was chopped in the back. The sister was shot in the leg. And the brother was shot in the stomach. They made effort to get to the police turned them away, ignored them. That case, as we speak, the government is here to investigate. The president needed to speak to that. These are the things that are hurting our people. All right, let's talk about the asset recovery. The government constituted a group that's supposed to recover assets. They are yet to report to the Liberian people whether or not they have been able to recover a dime. What happened to that? So yes, I would agree that there were a lot of good things in there that the president talked about, that they're planning to do, that they are doing, but also he needed to speak to the realities of the day, the economic agony, the fear that the people are experiencing on prices, on armed robbery, safety, and all of that, and the president did not do that. The speech did not also give hope to our people. People are in despair right now economically. I expected the president to have spoken in a way that will give the people hope again so that they will start to believe in their government. But the president did not do that. And I can think, the only thing I can think is that maybe the president himself does not have the hope that things will turn around. Maybe we should listen to Mamba Malu that it would take a miracle to turn the thing around. So gentlemen, we will conclude it on the State of the Nation address by the president. I will bring in Mr. Dennis Jazz to introduce our next issue, which is the counted meat that we consider was a complete fiasco. Mr. Jha.
Thank you, Mr. C.A. So, gentlemen, we just concluded a counted meet, which ended in a complete fiasco. We watched the final between Grand Crew and Nimba, where Nimba walked off the field, and that became the end of the counted meet. Probably they're going to investigate it to see what will be done, but that was it. So, I want us to start first from the very basic. the purpose of the county meet and if that purpose has been realized over the year, especially this one. Let me start with you, Victor, concerning the purpose of the county meet, why it was set up, I believe, in 1956. Is that purpose being realized over the years, especially looking at 2019-2020 county meet?
My brother decided to tell you guys that this purpose was not realized this time. I mean, this is the God that will have brought the country together. During our dark days, brothers and sisters, President Weah was the one that was putting us on the map. He was the one the government of Liberia and the United Nations used to disarm our young brothers and sisters, to bring peace and unity amongst us. This is one of the reasons that President Weah was better elected, I think, because he served as a unifier. But now what has happened in Liberia? He's doing the opposite. The guy we all call the big of hope, the guy we all call the big brother, the guy we all call the unifier, is the one that is dividing us today. Yeah.
Yeah, I want us to go specifically on the purpose of the economy over the years, even before we are, and now this year. Has that purpose been realized, in your opinion?
No, it has not been realized. It has been broken in fight. Because the purpose is to unify us. But we are divided at any time in our history. We are really divided. And we need to do something about this. I expected the president to talk about unifying us in his speech. He did not hit on that. Liberians need to unify. If we don't do this, we'll have problems very soon. And the county meet was brought about for us to come together as a country, one people, just to celebrate together. I mean, let me tell you, if Grand Coup wins, LeBron wins. If Nimba wins, LeBron wins. If a man comes from Nimba and invents something from Nimba, they won't say Nimba, they will say a Liberian. We just did that. Our government just did that to unify us. But is that serving its purpose? And we need to look at that again.
Let me go to you, Mr. Cooney. The county meet over the years, the purpose, and what are we achieving that very purpose?
As I indicated on the previous show, the county meet is a very good sporting event. And I think the county meet, has achieved its purpose over the years. In my opinion, the county meet has two purposes. It is a platform that is provided to all of our counties to give them the opportunity to showcase the talents from those counties. Those talents can also now be discovered and used for national purposes. So over the years, the county league has achieved that. The county league has also helped to bring our people together. People from the same county, people from across counties, for us to celebrate Liberia together in our own way. I am not one of the extremists who hold a view that for Liberia to make progress, we must disband our ethnicities. No, our ethnicities are to be celebrated. And the country meet, fulfills that. It's like countries going to the World Cup. When we see African nations going to the World Cup, we celebrate Africa. There's nothing wrong with celebrating your country, your origin, or the country.
Let me inject. There are others who believe that the county meeting is even helping to further divide us. During the county meet, everybody go to their little corner, and this is competition. How does competition where we are fighting going to bring people together? Now you see Bong people go to Bong, Baza go to Baza, Grebo go to, and all over the place. Okay, so people are saying it's even helping to divide us and promote this tribal disunity.
But Dennis, what I'm saying, if our meaning of unity If our meaning of unity is the disappearance of our ethnic makeup, then I disagree. There will always be Grebo people in Liberia. There will always be Kru people in Liberia. There will always be Gio people. There will always be Mano people. If there are people advocating that the only way Liberia make progress is for the disappearance of those cultures and those ethnicities, I strongly disagree. What I do believe is that as Liberians, we should be able to celebrate our diversity. We should be able to recognize our diversity as strength. And from what I see, besides the political activists that have politicized this county me, what I saw was Liberians interacting with their fellow Liberians, joking their fellow Liberians, going to the games, making fun of each other. That's what I saw. That's what I experienced here in Philadelphia, where Liberians of all backgrounds will come together and we laugh at one another from where we come from in a peaceful way on the football field. The fact that there are people who want to politicize the tournament because they don't like a particular person who is a political leader in the country at this time should not reflect on the Liberian people. It should not reflect on the Liberian people. That would be an unfair reflection on the Liberian people. The president took enough steps to bring unity during this tournament. My information is that even prior to the tournament, the president met the two teams, preached the.
We'll come to the details. We'll come to the details, Mr. Kuni. Let me go to Dr. Kula.
The country has met this.
Give Dr. Kula a chance.
Even with this unfortunate incident, I still think that the country league, the country meet, is still should be a necessary component of our national life.
Dr. Kula, I don't know why we're using competition to unite people. People will just go to their little corners. In your view, has the county meet achieved its purpose?
Has this particular county meet achieved its purpose?
County meet,
Is that your question?
No, county meet since 1956.
Has it achieved its purpose?
Yes.
I think it has, in the sense that every year Liberians look forward to the county meet. And it's something that's unifying in a sense, because if you can recall that even during the war, I'll bring Lone Star into this, even during the war, what unified Liberians was when Lone Star was playing, everybody came together. So football has always been used to unify our nation. So the county meet as an idea of unification and bringing peoples together, I think it's a good thing. Now, where you say, oh, Bon County people go in that corner and this person go in that corner, there's nothing wrong with Bon County having an area where everybody wearing whatever the color is, red or whatever, or Bassa being in their corner when their teams are playing. But as a whole, I think the game brings the country together because that's all they're talking about. Who's going to play the next person, and everybody's gathering around their various groups and cheering on their various groups. So it's a good thing. I don't see it as a negative thing. Now, where it becomes negative is what we're going to talk about later on, where people walked off the field because they felt they were being cheated. For one group, where the fixtures was changed to allow a particular to go to the finals, that's where you have the problem. But as a whole, the idea, it's a great idea. Of unifying our people, because I'll just say one more thing. No, let me finish real quick. Elizabeth Blunt said when she went to Liberia, she noticed that people would say they would enhance their culture and to say, over there you have good Vi cooking, over there you have good Bassa cooking. But then after the coup, everybody became very tribal and it became worse. So the leader has a responsibility to not allow these little things to create divisions. That's what I had to add.
All right. Sorry, my voice was not on. Since 1956, what has been the evaluation to tell us what the county meet has achieved over the years? And how do we compare that to this year, which some of you believe has widened the gap when it comes to unifying the people? Compared before to now, what is the yardstick to tell us that, okay, because we have had X number of county meets, the people are more unified, they are more reconciled than ever before? Victor, you go first.
It is hard to speak on that because we have had war, we had war for over 12 years and we were divided. Hello, what did you say? You're mute. Okay, we had war for over 12 years and we were so divided, we killed one another. So I cannot speak on that, but I want to speak on after the war, when Ellen became president. What has the country been done for us since then? I think it has brought us together. I think Ellen really tried to bring us together. She was not really involved in the country meet like President Weah is. Everything he wants to be the head of it. That's our problem. That's what bringing the division. This country meet is all about bringing us together. Countries bringing us together on a soccer pitch. It doesn't matter who wins. But let's just be real. This country meet, this particular country meet, divided us than ever before. It divided us than ever before.
What is your yardstick? What is your yardstick?
Huh?
What is your yardstick that the country meet divided us more than this one divided us more than ever before?
Yeah, one example is President Weah is too involved. He's too involved, the end president. And then look at the finalists. The two finalists, Nima and Grand Crew. This guy have not even played the final. He sent for them at his office to have a conversation with them. Why are you doing that? You do that after the country meet, after the finals. And then you call the both teams and congratulate them. You don't do it before, the finals. So people already started blaming Weah that he's stepping his boundary. He's stepping in it too much. Why will you tell the people that you are doing it? You sent for both teams before the finals. People already said that he had a yellow envelope. He gave it to Neighbor so that they can lose the game, so that he can win. Grand Crew can win because he's from Grand Crew. Tell the people, no, stay out of it. You are the president of Liberia. You are not the president of LFA.
Thank you, Victor. And that's a good segue to the next question I'm about to ask was the president calling for both teams, meeting with both teams. In my view, I don't think anything was wrong with that. But let me bring in Mr. Cooney to comment on that.
And Mr. Cooney, let me rephrase the question for you, if you don't mind. What was wrong with the president meeting the two finalists? Any precedent? Were the suspicions justified, in your opinion?
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with the president meeting the two teams that were going to the final. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. The president is a spokesperson. And the president didn't meet the teams clandestinely. He didn't meet one team in the night and meet the other team. He put the two teams together. You see, the only difference with this country meet is Weah is president. And anything Weah touches must be trash, no matter the intent. The president called the two teams together to preach the very unity we're talking about, to let the people know that this is sports. Gentlemen, we are one people. You all try and play the game to entertain the people. Now it's being interpreted as he wants to be in charge. Do you know how many times Lone Star were invited, or several teams were invited to the executive mansion during previous regime? All the president was trying to do was to promote friendship and brotherhood among the teams. But again, as it is with this president, everything in Liberia is falling in the minds of some people because it's George Weah. There's nothing wrong with the president meeting with the two teams. The president was not on the field. The president did not officiate the game. People are even criticizing the president why he has to go on the field. Can you imagine? This is a footballer, a professional footballer that loves the game. And this is the final of the national county meet. And people are even questioning the decision why you got to go on the field. So it all falls under this pettiness of everything where I should be back.
Rephrase your question, please, so I can get to it.
Dr. Kula, what was wrong with the president meeting with the two finalists? And is there any precedent, and does that justify the suspicion others are having that the president did that, so as to win favor from Nimba County for his county Grand Crew to win?
I don't think anything is wrong in and of itself for the president to meet with the finalists.
Okay.
But you have to know your audience. You have to be aware of situations. You have to have situational awareness. Okay? And you got to be aware of optics. The problem with Liberians is they give no regards whatsoever to human behavioral science, psychology, or any of that stuff. They just feel like they can do whatever they feel like doing because they're there. And they can spin it the way they want to and interpret it the way they want to convince whoever they support that you're right, no matter what, you're right. So we have this group of people that telling Weah, do whatever you feel like doing, because the so-called elites and the educated people say you're not educated, you will not amount to anything you touch is bad, so just do what you feel like doing. You want to build 47 houses, or as soon as you became president, build it. You want date all together and get a job because your girlfriend, do it. You want to put your 4 brothers at MPA, put them there. Do whatever you feel like doing. You want to go on the field, you want to invite the guys them to the mansion, you want to get involved in the county league, and even though it looking suspicious, Administrative Youth and Sports, that somehow they changing the fixture, y'all do it. But the people like me that say to Weah, and will continue to say to Weah, yes, there are elements in our society, no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they will look at you a certain way. How do I know this? My father has a PhD from American University. He went to Liberia to become bishop, but because he was a countryman, there were certain elements in our society at that time. And look at a countryman, look at the kind of house he living in. The man was born behind the house in banana leaf. Look at, there are certain elements in our society like that. But that doesn't mean you should give them an excuse. That doesn't mean you should do whatever you feel like doing.
I don't think
live up to a higher standard.
What is lower? What is lower? What is lower than that?
Because there's certain elements in the society that was find nothing good in what you do. Do what you feel like doing. No, don't do what you feel like doing. This is the situation. Be aware of situation. Be aware of optics. Be aware of what looks bad and what looks good. Be aware of ethics. Be aware of morals.
What can possibly go wrong when the president meets both teams? I hear people saying that he's going to bribe them. I think that's a disrespect to the players and the coaches of that team that are going to meet the president. Like, the president is just going to bribe everybody in broad daylight, and they're not going to play. I think those who accuse their own teams like that did not have respect for them. What's your counter argument to that?
My counter argument is that the way you're speaking, Ja, you're speaking from the context of somebody who's lived in America, in a society that's transparent, in a society that has standards, in a society that has ethics and morals. Every government and private institution has an ethics department. I bet your job has an ethics department. Okay? That agrees that this country and people in this country live by a certain standard. That is not the case in Liberia. So what? The people don't even get enough information. So rumors are the order of the day. Suspicion is the order of the day. Lack of trust is the order of the day. So people, even for you, an educated man, that doesn't sound realistic. But for the average Liberian, they don't know all this sophistication that you're talking there. All they know is, my man, what they going to see the president for before they came. Maybe the president would tell them not to do this, or the president would, even if it's not real, why give anybody that opportunity to have that suspicion? So to take away all that suspicion, if I were him, if I was around him, I told him, don't do it. I would have told him, don't do it. Wait until the game is over, then invite both teams, the first, second, and third place teams to the matchup. But don't do it before the game. I would have told him that. But there's certain elements, again, in our society that tell him, do whatever you feel like doing, because no matter what you do, the people will have nothing good to say about you. They'll say you're not educated. Although the man say you got a master's degree from DeVry, But I say to Weah, those people
that way you say all he has.
Those people that you say that don't have your interests at heart, versus the people that tell you to do whatever, you better be careful.
All right.
Taylor is an example, and Doe is an example.
Thank you,
better
Mr.
Be careful.
Thank you, Dr. Coley. Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Coley. Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and we are analyzing the term as a fiasco canted mean. That Mr. Coney, we are coming to you. Always want to maybe call you Dr. Coney, and maybe you should
I beg you.
I mean, if people can call Weah Dr. Weah, why not call him Dr. Coney?
Because he's legitimately Dr. Weah.
No, he's not. He has an honorary.
All right, gentlemen, let us not go there.
Dr. Weah.
People don't use honorary doctor.
Gentlemen, let us not go there. Let us not go there. So, Mr. Coney, I was coming to you.
Honorary doctor.
All right, we look at the politics surrounding this whole game, and people saying the optics not looking good for the president to have invited both teams. People floating pictures on Facebook that the president was seen with something more like an envelope, trying to give it out to the opposing team, being Nima here, just for Grand Crew to win, and he's being a son of Grand Crew and all of that. Let's look at the leaders of the Nima Kante team. And as I watched the game, I noticed that it was the officials of the Nima Kante team that encouraged the players to leave the field. What's that?
Let me
also point accusing fingers at them.
Look, listen, before I answer that question, look, if Dr. Kula keep talking about all the updates, you go by Dr. Kula update, where we don't even be able to leave your own room to go in the living room because of updates.
That's not true. That's not true.
Well, that's my assessment. Where we not even be able to leave his own living room to go even in the bathroom because of updates. I mean, what the situation we're facing here is what I said earlier. We are having this controversy because the president is Weah. If the president had been any other president, we would not even have this discussion regarding county meat. And like the other people said, I mean, to even allege that the president of the Republic of Liberia, he loved Grand Crew so much, so he would directly engage in act of bribery, is the kind of condescension that people hold towards this president. The meeting was very public, attended by the legislative leaders of both counties, and they were there. So now we should worry about the optics where the president is preaching unity, the president is preaching sports, trying to appeal to the best in the players to carry on the county meet. And because there is some optics, there is some suspicion, there is no ethics in Liberia, so these things shouldn't be done. And that's the kind of advice that people want to give.
Yeah. Can I come in?
So
no, hold on. We're just asking a question. Hold on.
So I'm saying that this thing, my observation, I saw a good number of the Liberian people that enjoy the county from all sides. People joke with their friends. People laugh with their friends. It is only the extreme politicians that were determined to politicize the event are the ones that are responsible for the outcome. They are the ones that started predicting the score of the game. They are the ones that started predicting what will happen even before the game started. But my observation, both on the field and even in my community where I live, we all came together to throw jokes, to celebrate our Liberianness, to celebrate our counties, to even discuss our foods. Only the extreme politicians are the one that politicize this thing, and some of them who have been the county leaders that agitated the children to leave the field.
Thank you, Mr. Kony. Thank you, Dad. Victor, let me come to you. You watched the game. You are a football fan, and I'm bringing you to where the whole trouble started, the penalty that was given to Grand Crew. I saw it, but I'm not as big into football. Do I know all the rules? And some people watch it and say, hey, this is a fair penalty because the Grand Crew player or the Grand Crew striker were more like on the ball when the defender came and tried to get him off the ball, and in the process, the Grand Crew player went down. And in football, once that man is in the penalty box, anything you do to throw him on the ground, especially when he's seen as in possession of the ball, that's a fair penalty. What is your understanding of that? Do you disagree with that?
Brother Sonny, thank you for the question. I would tell you guys that, look, I am not from Nimba, neither I'm from Grand Crew. So I really did not kill it. I only wanted for this game, for this country to be played, and finish in the right way. So the right team, the best team, they take the trophy. But we all saw that this president got involved from the onset. You know what I'm saying? And what breaks my heart before I come to the question is when people like Mr. Kony and others and some of our friends
fixed on the pitch.
The
match officials making sure everything is in place for this second half to begin.
They have somebody in power that will give them something, or they know somebody in power that will give
Grand
them
Crew
something,
County
or they want something in return.
leading by a converted penalty kick.
You know why we enjoy it here? We enjoy it here because there are laws and orders in this country. If you commit a crime in this country, they will hold you accountable for that crime. Anything you do in this country, you will be held accountable. But in Liberia, people will lie for nothing because they want favor. Okay, let me come to the game. I'm not from Grand Jida. I'm not from Grand Crew. I'm not from Nimba. I'm going to say the truth here. That was not a penalty. I'm a soccer fan, and I also play football. Look, let's watch the game. The ball, when the guy crossed the ball, the guy from the defender, that's the guy from Nimba, and the guy and the forward, the number 11 from Grand Crew, I think he was playing 10. They were going towards the ball. The first guy to reach the ball was the guy from Nimba. Watch the play. The first guy to reach the ball was the guy from Nimba. When he did not touch the ball. As soon as he put his legs in the air to touch the ball, the guy from Grand Crew collapsed, hit him, and that's how he fell. He hit the guy, and that's how he fell in the penalty box. And the ref said it was penalty. That's not penalty. If the guy was going to leave the ball and rush, maybe he hit the guy on the ball, you would call it penalty. You know what I'm saying? But that was not a fair penalty. That was not even a foul. The guy from Nimba was on the ball first. Watch the play, guys.
So Victor,
Yeah.
so let's assume that was not a fair penalty, even though what I've heard from a sport fan was it was discretionary and they would prefer for the referee not to call it for the sake of the game. But
I want to hear you. You are bringing up.
no, I said what I heard from sport fans or sport people is the penalty was discretionary for the referee. He could call it, he could let it go. So it could go both ways. That's what I heard when I asked some players from Lowstar. So let's say this was not fair and it was called off. Was the Nimba County team, was it okay for them to walk off the field or end the game and later on file protest?
No, for me, it was wrong for them to walk off the field. They were not a sportsman-like kind of behavior. They were to stay on the field and play the game. We all knew it was a penalty. It was not a good penalty. They were to stay on the field, play the game, and then, and go back to the LFA, and send in their grievances. But instead, they walk off the field. But let me tell you, that's the mentality our people got. Because from the onset, they already thought that the president already included. He was already doing his thing. He was taking side. Everybody knew. We all saw it. We all heard it. Everybody from Nimba said, in fact, the Lofa and Grand Crew game, the people said that Grand Crew Lofa was cheated. We all heard it, Roman. You understand what I'm saying? This is what happens in a nation where when people look at the truth and they turn their back to the truth because they will get something out of it. You understand? So these things don't happen here. People play a game here. You don't see players walking out of the field. They play ends. And they find their grievances. But Liberia is different because there's no justice. They're already accusing the president of robbing the people from Nimba.
Thank you, Victor.
Of robbing the referee. So that's our problem.
Thank you, Victor.
Compare our mentality to the people in Liberia, especially the football players.
Thank you, Victor. Again, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia. And we are discussing what we term as a fiasco counted me. Let me come to you, Mr. Kunin. In all of this, when I watched the game, I saw the field packed with Liberians, all of whom went there to support their individual teams and celebrate Liberia or celebrate their individual county.
In the Nimba county half, the 1-2 does not come off this time around. But possession is...
What we notice is that Nimba walk off the field because
other coach is calling his players.
I think you agree with me that...
Why would you be concerned about what a coach is telling his player?
Not treated fairly, wouldn't you?
I totally do agree with you. And unlike my brother there, I'm not going to play soccer analyst because even though I'm a soccer fan, I don't pretend to know... I don't pretend to be a referee.
Second penalty.
But just...
One says, hey, Spoon, my name is... penalty. Another penalty awarded by the match referee. Sports meet, football final.
I think they owe a certain obligation.
President Weah watches on.
And I agree with him that I think it was wrong for the other team to walk off the field, even though he still continued to politicize it. But I think we all agree. I mean, there is no perfection in soccer. Even at the FIFA level, the people at the FIFA level, they recognize that referees are human beings. This is why they even are deploying technology to help the human eye. So what I'm saying is, those of us that claim to know, we don't even prepare our people for these things. Because our people, according to some of the panelists, they're not sophisticated. We feed them these lies. We feed them these conspiracies. And then the people hold on to these conspiracies. Soccer, the referee is a human being. He may have made a mistake. He may not have made a mistake. But the place you show leadership is to tell the team, besides winning, there is a greater purpose to the game. You see? But like I said, because people wanted to make a political point, what would be the most embarrassing thing to the president? You were on the field and the people walk out, yay, good for him. These are the kind of sentimental things that motivate people. You know? I want to believe that call in the Nimba and the Nigeria game was not the only controversial calls. I've even been told that there were games that Nimba played where they even benefited from controversial calls. But the opponent did not walk off the field. And nobody accused the president for those kind of calls. But anything that is connected to Weah has to be wrong. It has to be wrong. So he's from Grand Crew. How long did Weah live in Grand Crew? Weah is a Maserado County man. The man lived all his life in Clarendon.
He's a crew man.
And now this man supposed to be this travelist who is so bent on his county getting a cup, so he's passing bribe to legislative leaders. I mean, these kind of condescensions, I really don't pay them too much mind. And then the other point my brother make, of course, for a long time, I started responding to the childishness of if you hold a contrary view, then you want something from Weah or you from the Southeast. Those kind of childish view don't really worth my comment.
That's true. That's why you're doing it.
Thank you. Again, Victor, like if you read that, we'll come back to you and you'll have the opportunity to respond. Let me come to you, Dr. Kula. Another thing I noticed is that the poor referee, I will classify him that way, he is the one that is being crucified in cyberspace. I see his picture everywhere, and he's the problem. He awarded a penalty that brought the match into chaos. The East treated with respect at all. This is a human being who was officiating a match. I believe that was not his first match. So when Liberians are treating other Liberians like that, maybe because they might have made, or maybe because of their own perception and assumption, I don't see how it add to the intent of the game to promote peace and unity. Dr. Kula, I want you to speak to that. The referee, in my opinion, is being unfairly treated. I don't think he deserves that.
Well, the way the referee is being treated is really a symptom of a larger problem. And you see, that's the problem with Liberia. Mr. Coney wants to dismiss and belittle the optics of things and political awareness, situational awareness, and all of that. If you're politically and situational aware, you will not take certain steps, right? Because it appears like the conflict of interest, okay? So if, for example, you're from a particular tribe or a particular county, or you're affiliated with your government being full of people from the Southeast and all of that, and you have a situation where we have your chairman on tape
post-meet football final,
right? And we had a situation where
President Weah watches on,
making it all about CDC, so it became very
as
partisan.
well as
so in an environment like that, you cannot blame the people for thinking that everything associated or affiliated with the president is going to be taken by him as his interest, especially a man who didn't care about optics. I bet you was calling and telling him, oh, don't worry, build 47 building villas. Go and break your house down 9th Street, man. We just tell people, say you have millions.
Dr. Kula,
don't care about the optics.
Dr. Kula,
He have millions. He have millions.
Hold on, Mr. Kune.
You refuse to accept that fact. The man is the richest man that became president.
Mr. Kune, follow that.
You may detest that.
Yeah,
But
Mr. Kune, that is not fair to our
fans. Spend his money the time he choose to spend it, not at your urging.
Yeah, because
again, that is not fair to our viewers. Please, gentlemen, stop the interruption. Gentlemen, please stop the interruption. Dr. Kula, let me come back to you again. You're talking about optics, Dr. Kula. And the optics thing you're talking about is more so on the side of the president. What's about optics from the leaders of the Nimba County team, who encourage their players to leave the field? The optics, does that apply to them as well?
How does that apply to them? You tell me, how does that apply to them? Tell me.
Or if they have not encouraged their players to leave the field, they will have stayed on the field, and then the game will have continued.
Okay. So
it's possible that they could have won that game.
So maybe let's put it this way. Maybe they shouldn't have encouraged their citizens to leave the team. But what do you think influenced the leaders of Nimba to tell their citizens to leave the field? The same political atmosphere, the same optics, the same thinking and awareness that, hey, this man wants this game at all costs, or whatever the case may be. So let's put it.
So Dr. Kula, it is not politics for them to leave the field, but it is politics for the president to be seen as being too much into the game.
Ask a question. 1 minute. Let's put it on the officials of Nimba, because that's what Liberians are good at. We always tend to blame the guy who points out the wrong and gets mad and explodes or walk away. So let's put it on them. Let's put it on them and say they shouldn't have allowed their team to walk off. But let's make it a bigger conversation and say, why don't we as a nation start training our people from small on what good sportsmanship is like, what being a team player is like. So by the time they reach to this level of the county meet, nobody on the sideline can tell them to get off the field and to walk off the field, because they already know what good sportsmanship is like. So it's more of what you said earlier. What kind of research have we done to say that this thing has brought us together? We need to do the research. We need to do more. We need to do more than just having these things and putting on the photo op and instead of going deeper into the psychology of these things and how they really affect us. So now let's take your next question. All right,
let me come in. I want to play the tape for us to see and make judgment. I know you're not going to see it unless you go on Facebook. But here's the thing: of all the noise that was going about this penalty, if you look on Facebook, you really didn't see the replay. People were not really looking at what happened, because I see that there was some preconceived notion about the end result of the game, about the outcome. And it goes back to what you said about optics, that since President Weah has met these two teams, it was not going to be fair no matter what. So people are really not looking at the replay. One reason could be because they don't trust the system.
Yeah.
But nobody's looking at the replay. Nobody's looking at the actual play that resulted into this penalty. All we are talking about is the influence of the president. So let me play that clip so we see what's going on here.
Dennis.
Yeah. Hold on.
Look, guys, watch the replay. The coaches did.
President Weah watches on,
their players to leave the field.
as well as
You saw them watching the replay.
other Liberians here at the Samokando Sports Complex, and those watching Spoon TV Live, those listening to Spoon 107.5 FM, where we see a Nimba County come back. Keep your predictions coming in. 0778-037047. And this one says, "Hey Spoon, my name is." A penalty, another penalty awarded by the match referee. This is amazing. Second penalty awarded by the match referee. The Nimba County players can just not believe this. A second penalty.
The video is play. Go ahead. You wanted to say something.
No, look, what I wanted to say is that all of these trainings and everything that people are talking about, we need to teach people about good sportsmanship and other things like that. You see? And the president not supposed to get involved because of optics. I believe
Going to watch it again.
Even if the president had not gone on the field, if the president had not even invited people to the executive marshal, we will still be having the same discussion. The conspiracy theorists in Liberia, they believe what they believe about the president. You see my brother talking, is like, the president tenure has already ended and nothing is achieved. Well, there are some of us that know the beginning of government. As a new government, we run organizations. We know some of the things we face in the first year of our administration, or maybe the first 6 months of the administration. So people are making all of it. It doesn't matter if the president has gone on the field, if the president has not gone on the field, if the president has invited the people or not invited them, and this thing has happened, it will be the same accusation, period.
My brother, if you want to know a great leader, you will tell from the beginning. Weah is not a great leader. We all knew. We all spoke against Ellie Johnson-Sirleaf. We knew she was corrupt. She stole our money. And what happened? We told Weah to order her. He refused. In fact, he started doing worse than her. Where's the 16 million? Where's the 25 million?
Weah didn't give you a platform of auditing.
Can we stick to the...
No, stop protecting people. Start speaking for people.
He didn't give you a platform. I'm speaking facts. He didn't give you a platform.
You tell me about 25 million.
Weah didn't give 25 million. The president did not run on a platform of auditing early. In fact, when you were running a campaign,
then tell me about the 25 million. What happens to the 25 million?
All those things have been investigated. You refuse to read the report.
25 million?
Go and read the reports. There are reports on them. Read them.
And the report is not good at all.
On the counter meet for now. Gentlemen, we are on the counter meet. We are on the counter meet, gentlemen.
You refuse to accept the report.
You 58 years old. You
bad.
Again, folks, in cyberspace, this is focused on Liberia. Earlier, we were trying to play the video showing the penalty that brought all the controversy for everybody to see and maybe make a decision whether or not the penalty was fair. Dennis, did we get that? All right. And I was not paying attention because of the distraction, but I watched it before the show. We play it before the show as well. And it is debatable. Like Dennis said earlier, we reached out to somebody who been in the game for so long. And he told us that that was a penalty in his opinion. I mean, that's his opinion and he could be wrong. All right. But he said, given the fact that Nimba Kante already had a red card, the referee could have used his discretion and not call for that penalty just to protect the peace on the field of play. But at the same time, the referee decided to make a decision that, look, a penalty is a penalty and I'm going to call the penalty, and that's why he did. Again, this is football now that have turned to politics, and I know the argument in football never ends.
Everything in a nation is politics. Everything in a nation is politics.
Just as the argument in politics.
Dr. Kula, they have politicized everything.
Everything in a nation is politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, what nation say.
All right, Mr. Janet, this is what we will do. We'll take a concluding statement so we can end the broadcast. Again, folks, in cyberspace, we have been discussing and analyzing the State of the Nation address that was given today by the president, and we did that. And we have been on our final segment, what we described as a fiasco county meet. We went into all the politics surrounding it, what went wrong, who can hold responsible for the team leaving. We talk about the optics and all of that. And our guests and two analysts have been going at it. We believe that we have given you something for you to take home to your family and continue on the conversation. The conversation does not focus on Liberia, but I want to believe it begins from here because we are in the business of giving everybody the opportunity to follow the argument and carry on.
And yes, the counter meet. First, let's go to the root. The counter meet has, I don't think we have been actually studying our counter meet, put in some modification or even come back. We did a show here on Focus on Liberia, the economics of sport. I think the counter meet has been taken for granted. It was really to recruit players. And also, they said to unify the people, even though I question how a competition will bring about unity, but that's a debate for another day. We also don't know, the proceeds, whether we are really developing players from those counties. Most of the time, the players are right there from Monrovia. Besides Mount Gibby and maybe Nimba that are very in close proximity to Monrovia, most of the counties, like my own county, Sino, the players come from West Point, Nukutown, and all over the place. So it really doesn't do much to develop players in the counties, and we don't make money from it. What are the sales of all these county jerseys and other materials being produced? Where do the money go? Who controls it? So all these things have not been worked out, and we just make believe that it is uniting us. And up to now, we have not done any statistics to tell our people that since we started the county meet, this is what it has done. In fact, we had a 14-year-old war that turned very brutal and tribalistic, and I don't know what role the county league played in trying to lessen that impact. I don't know, and I still don't see it. And we have a kind of presidency that everything begins and ends with the president. The president is in our country, is the chief Tanu, is the chief Zoe, is the patron of sports, is the visitor of the university, is the head of everything. And so our lives are filled with the almighty presidency. And we ourselves who have set up presidents above ourselves to be our Lord and Savior. Even if your wife refuses to cook, you want to call the president. I see in the counter meet that the referee calls the foul, but not many people really is holding the referee accountable, and the match commissioner, the LFA, the sporting commission, the Ministry of Sport, nobody is holding them accountable. The person we hold accountable is the president because he met with the players. I think when we do things like that, we are not only bowing and worshiping the president, we are the one giving them the power. Because if we believe the power, the president can influence a game, the president can influence even what goes on in our lives, because we are setting up the president that way. Why are we not holding the referee accountable? Why are we not holding the sport officials accountable to investigate and come to the bottom of the issue? But instead, anytime we blame the president, we are simply throwing our hands up the air and say, well, the president has done it, there's nothing, there's no recourse. The only thing we can do is to change the president, and then we're going to have all that we need. I don't think that's the better route to take. I think that we should start to hold people accountable and make the president or the government, as I said the other day, insignificant as possible. But when we set them above ourselves as our Lord and God, they will demand our worship, and we better bow down to worship them, because we ourselves, we are giving them that platform to be everything to us. So I believe for Nimba County, because we don't trust the system, so Nimba did not have a recourse to say, let's play. At the end, we're going to seek justice and we're going to get justice. I believe Nimba did not trust the system, and the atmosphere was already charged. Even when the president met the teams, I believe personally that there was nothing wrong, but it was some politicians. And I'm going to call out Ta Wongwei, who Facebook post I read that this was an intention by the president to buy the game in favor of Grand Crew. When we inject our opinions, our political, rivalry, political parties, differences into sports, so the atmosphere was already charged, the seeds were already planted, and it was just waiting to germinate. And I saw the match commissioners running on the field, and what I would term as pushing the case to get off the field. Those were the same people that went with the case to meet the president when it was being rumored that the president was bribing them. Now they were on the field telling them to leave because there was a penalty that they did not agree with. I think we all need to go back to the drawing board and look at the counter meet again and see whether it's serving our purpose. We shouldn't be afraid to strap the whole thing out and redo it if we want the kind of results that we want. That's what I think. Back to you, CA.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deneja. We will now come back to our guests and our analysts for their concluding statement, and we will start with our guest. Victor, Dennis, can you remove Victor from mute? All right, Victor, we want to thank you for honoring our invitation today. We hope that it will not be your last time here at this platform. We give everybody the opportunity to speak, and we ask the questions, and that's what we do. We speak our mind, we disagree to agree. Thank you for honoring our call on a very short notice. We look forward to having you again. We will now give you the opportunity to close on the two topics that we were able to discuss today. Go ahead.
All right, Mr. Sonny, see you and the host. I want to thank you guys for inviting me. Really enjoyed the program. I want to thank every Liberian, those that came against and for me. I want to thank you for coming and listening to us. But let me tell you something. I am not a politician. I don't have any political affiliation with any political party in Liberia. I am just a Liberian, and I want the best for Liberia. You and I found ourselves here today because our forefathers, our fathers, our mothers kept quiet. They saw wrong and they kept quiet. They saw a baby beaten and they kept quiet because it wasn't their baby. They saw someone treated badly and said nothing because they were not the ones. They saw someone stealing money from our governments and said nothing because they were benefited. And it took us here. It had to bring us here. So we have to change this. We can't see the wrong things and say the right thing about it. Look, I'm just Liberian. I just want the best for Liberia. I don't hate Weah. But I adore Weah when he was playing football for us. This man put us on the map. During our darkest days, he was the one putting us on the map. He was the one, the beacon of hope for us. He was the one that unified us again, that brought us together. But what has happened today? What has happened to Liberia, the country that everybody went to for assistance, the country that other countries went to for peace? What has happened today? We did everything good. People came to our country for our passport to travel to the United States of America. But today, everything bad is all about Liberia. What can we do to stop this? We have to stop, speaking against injustices in Liberia. If you see wrong, you say it's wrong. If you see right, you say it's right. We all love Weah, but if Weah was going to come in office and put the country first and did what the people wanted him to do, we all would be praising him. All I want for Weah to do is to turn the corner. It's not late yet, President Weah. You can still turn the corner. You can put your country first. You can forget your friends. You can put your people first. You can, at least people can have jobs, to have pride in their jobs, so they can go to work. Mothers and fathers can go to work and come home with paycheck to take care of their families. But today, there are fathers going to bed today. They're ashamed to go home because they don't have the money to take care of their children. Why should we live in a nation like that? You don't want it for yourselves? Or you build a mansion, but your next door neighbor live in a zinc shop? Is that what you want? That's not development. If everybody make it in Liberia, that country will be great, not just few. So God bless every one of you. May God bless Liberia. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Victor. Victor, right there, who happened to be our guest for today, Monday special. We will come to Mr. Conan. I call him the intellectual heavyweight for his closing statement. Mr. Conan.
Well, Asani, thank you very much. I sincerely believe that the State of the Union has actually laid out a blueprint for the country to move forward. The message has created hope for Liberia. The only thing we can all do is to see that these things come to fruition. The road connectivity that was emphasized in the report, I think, is one of the catalysts for development in our country. Agriculture, that's something we've been talking when we were all kids. So we're hoping that we can see an administration that will actually translate agriculture into reality for our country. The macroeconomic policies that have been put into place, it is our hope that they will stabilize the economy. The financial policies, now we're moving towards a much more independent central bank, depoliticizing the central bank. I'm also grateful that long-standing advocacy issues like dual citizenship will be addressed, and that the long terms of office for elected officers, elected officials in the country will also be addressed, making our democracy much more vibrant and much more accountable to the people. The fact that we come on this show and we try to highlight the positives of our country doesn't necessarily mean that we don't see any challenges in our country. There were challenges have always been in Liberia. I continue to say that. And for some of us, we've started this advocacy when we were 15 years old in our own poverty situation. We became conscious of our environment at that age, and we started the struggle from that age. So there has always been issue in Liberia, but we've always held out the hope that the best days for Liberia are far ahead of us. And I'm hoping that by the time we go to the next State of the Union, these things that have been laid out in the president's message, Liberians will begin to see concrete example. Our hope is not misplaced. We are hopeful because we know what bureaucracy is. Some of us have run organizations, we've taken over organizations, and even the little small organizations that we take over, even to find your footing in that initial period requires some actual work. So for me, it was actually expected that the government would have stumbled. There would have been some stumbling block in the first 2 years, but now with the 3rd year inside, I think we should all be hopeful that this administration will will achieve some of its objectives. We should also stop the unnecessary politicization of everything in our country, finding the lowest fruit to put our politics into the lowest basket. Those who hold strong political views, I believe, should enter the political process through political parties, through pressure movement, but to take entertainment, unity, focus, event like Counted Meat and inject our politics to it. I think that's the most unfortunate thing that will have happened to the Counted Meat. So I'm hoping that things can be better. I hope we can improve our democracy. I still believe that we have to do the greatest work that we can do in our first branch of government to hold the rest of the government accountable. The president is enormously powerful in our system, and we have to find a way to build other layers of power that will create that accountability for the people, for the country to move forward. Thank you. Unity, focus, develop.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kone, there making his closing statement. Mr. Kone is an analyst here at Focus on Liberia based in Philadelphia. We will now come to Dr. Kula for his closing statement. Dr. Kula.
I'm not sure what's going on with my volume. I'm not hearing you too well.
We're hearing you very well, so go ahead.
All right. Just to summarize what we've discussed here about the president's annual message to the nation, the president's annual message to the nation pretty much met all of its statutory requirements in terms of income, expenditure, and its legislative agenda. But again, I speak to those around the president, like Sekou Kalasco and others. You need to find somebody who can write the president's speech and gear it towards his cadence and the way that he naturally speaks, so that when he reads these things, they come across naturally where his audience can follow him and not be bored and not be lost. The speech, when I read it in Front Page Africa, comes across totally different from what I heard on the radio and on Facebook based on the delivery. The delivery was poor, and the president, being a president for the next 4 years, is in a position that public speaking is required. So he has to improve his public speaking skills. Do not rely on people that tell you, don't learn how to speak better, don't learn how to make speeches better, because people will see you a certain way no matter what. Yes, there are certain elements of society that will see you a certain way no matter what, but that doesn't mean that you should stoop lower or you should stay where you are. You should try to elevate yourself, or you should try to meet a certain standard so that no matter what, nobody can say anything about you because you met that standard, okay? It's sort of like there's a certain standard in the international world, best practices. Liberia should try to meet those standards instead of trying to say, oh, because we're Liberia, no matter what we do, they will see us as a poor, backward country, so let's continue to be poor and backward. No, don't accept that as your portion. Don't listen to anybody that tells you that. That is somebody that wants you to continue to look back. Now, in terms of what Dennis Josh said about Liberian and how we put everything above on the president and how we elevate the president continuously and we make the president God. I don't think, again, that Liberians should be blamed for that. And the reason I say that is everything has a historical context. If you go back to when President Tubman became president, Liberia had rubber and iron ore, and we had all this money coming in. And Tubman stayed there for 27 years. He created that supremacy around the presidency. He created that president is the chief patron of sports, the visitor to the university, all of that. He made the president the big man, so strong that nobody in the country could talk. There was no man in the country. And over the years, each person that's followed him has tried to imbue some characteristics of Tubman, and our country has allowed the imperial presidency to remain because most presidents want that. They love the power. Power doesn't give up easily. They love that power, so they contain it. And the people in the nation realize that. And because they realize that, that's why everything we blame the president for. Now, if you say we should change that and make a paradigm shift to change that whole thing, that means we have to do the work of teaching our people, teaching our kids that are coming up to see things differently, to see themselves as individuals with the power that are, as citizens, they can change things, they can make things better for themselves versus, you know, what they're used to looking at, that they have no power. So that's what we should be pushing for. And again, I want to thank all of the panelists tonight. It was a great discussion. Let's continue to discuss, but let's go beyond that and try to make changes in our society for the better. We take things here for granted in America, but these people have their system the way it is because educated Americans made that system the way it is. Educated Liberians cannot continue to sit down and allow things to remain the way it is in Liberia. Thank you and have a good night.
Dr. Kula, thank you. Dr. Kula there. He is an analyst here at Focus on Liberia. Folks, we have come to the close of our broadcast, and we want to turn it over to Mr. Dennis Yah, who will close us with our closing song. Mr. Yah.